If you, this is a different camera. Yeah, that's all right. Just a physical view.
It's quite bright. Okay, Gareth, we'll kick off with you. Sorry, it's quite bright.
Warren, what's give you that final quarter?
Mixed emotions really. Kind of furious we didn't win the game, but it answered a few questions about for us on some certain individuals. I think the game management in that final quarter wasn't good enough. I thought we should have been comfortable. A big moment in the game, taking a kick off and then giving England back a bit of momentum by not clearing our lines and then allowing them to score from that and get back in the game, which was disappointing.
How much will the players learn from that going into a World Cup?
Hopefully a heck of a lot, So there were some good things we did last week, and then today we capitulated a little bit in terms of accuracy and some guys knowing their roles, which was for me disappointing because we have spent a lot of time and making sure that there's a clarity and everyone does know their roles, and probably some soft penalties where England piggybacked up the field on with those chances. So I think we would have learned a lot from that. We've had 8 new caps in the last 2 weeks, which is pretty good, and that was the most experienced England team that they've ever put out there in terms of the number of caps. So you've got to be reasonably pleased with that, and they didn't really pressure us in terms of from an attacking perspective. They've scored a try from a driven line out maul, which we were disappointed to concede. But I'm disappointed at the moment, but I'll try and find some better positives over the next day or two.
How would Derry like take commentary?
Dewey's just, it looks like he's got a bit of a knee issue. We're not too sure how bad that is, and then Tane's shoulder as well, so we probably need to get them scanned on Monday.
A bit of a shame for Derry given the nature of the game, can knock up 26 minutes.
Yeah, just he'd be pretty gutted, pretty disappointed. He's gone to Jacko on a ball, and I think Owen Farrell's tried to roll him and has ended up landing on his leg. So so it unfortunately just looks like he's done a little bit of a knee, but we don't know the extent of how bad it is.
What will your approach be for next week?
What's that?
What will your approach be for next week?
There's still some players that we need to find out about and potentially give an opportunity to. You couldn't ask for better warm-up fixtures in terms of the physicality that you're looking for with England home and away, and then South Africa. So we know and expect that there's going to be a lot at the same sort of test up front. But for us, like I said, we need to take the learnings from today and hopefully apply them next week.
Just from last week, for me, David Jenkins, Ryan Elias and George North, that obviously picked up knocks last week. How are they?
The same.
Yeah. Since they've scanned earlier in the week.
Dev's been sort of managed in terms that he doesn't need an operation. In terms that we injected him on Wednesday, and he's about 4 weeks, I think. And I'm not sure who's the other one?
Ryan and George.
Ryan Elias. Ryan's probably about the same, 3 or 4 weeks, and George is fine. We injected his ankle, so he shouldn't be too far away.
Anyone else? James?
Warren, after these 2 warm-up games, where do you feel you are? Are you ahead of where you thought you might be, or are you encouraged, or do you feel you're still working?
There's still got work to do, but I'm pretty pleased. As I said, when you get eight new caps and you've got a bit of experience and you completely change your team from one week to the next, there are a lot of positives. For me, it's I hate losing, and particularly put yourself in a position where we should have closed out a game, but I said it's about us reviewing that and communicating that to the players, and hopefully those players out there, learn from that experience.
And if you were to meet England at the World Cup, do you feel like you've maybe put a few seeds of doubt in their mind as to what you guys can have?
I don't know. I think for both teams, it's quite a long way down the line in terms of how we potentially go in our groups and stuff, and you build confidence from that, you build combinations. So look, we think we're in a pretty good position where we are, and I think England came with the approach that they were going to be quite physical with us up front last week and bully us, and that didn't come off, and they'll probably try to play a little bit more rugby today. So I think from the 2 weeks it's been a couple of pretty even contests, and with England and Wales it's about taking your chances, getting a few calls from the referee and having a little bit of luck.
I know Owen Farrell's yellow card turned to red card. What did you make of that?
I think it was the right decision on the day, so hopefully for Owen's sake that he doesn't get too long a ban. I think we need someone like him in the game, and he'd be a big loss to England if he does pick up a lengthy ban. But given previous, I'm not too sure what's going to happen with that. But fingers crossed it's not too bad for him.
It's hard, isn't it, with the protocol and everything? What do you think would be an apt?
Look, I'm not. We've seen some inconsistencies in that already in the last few weeks and whatever. I look back to with the Lions with Dylan Hartley gets 11-week ban for abusing the referee, and with everything, all you're looking for is consistency. I look at today. We have a situation last week where Lewis Rees-Sammet denied a try, but it's one phase and the referees called advantage over, and then today England nearly score with a crossfield kick, which would have been a great try from them, but the referee comes back for the advantage and they take the 3 points. So all we're looking for is just consistency, and hopefully we'll get that when the World Cup comes around.
Warren, just on that, were you happy with the decision behind Freddie Stewart's yellow card?
Look, it's that could have been, probably was on the threshold from a yellow to a red, where he's taken him out, where he's so high in the air. Sometimes that decision might have been made by a different official, might have been a red card. It was pretty close, but it'd be interesting to see what they come back with when they review that.
Lauren, there was just a question on the 3 debuts today. There was a time when there was at the centre partnership. They were both debuts with Joe Roberts, Kieran Williams. Your thoughts on how that can drive them towards the World Cup?
I think we've got for us as coaches is probably getting settled on a midfield combination or a couple of combinations to get there. I thought Joe did well today, grew into the game as it went on, and Kieran for his debut as well. He had a couple of nice touches as well. The sort of switch play with Sam Perry I thought was good. Probably a little bit disappointed in terms of the penalty from the kickoff, but that's, like I said, at this level you can't coach experience, and for players it's about the ones from last week learning from that game last week, and for the new caps today learning from today, and potentially how they could get better or what they do differently the next time they're out there.
And also Camsley out there for his debut as well. Your thoughts on his performance today?
I thought he did all right. So he'll be disappointed with the scrum penalty, but like I said, he'll definitely learn from that. He's just had a scrum penalty. He's not one on as well, so he'll be a little bit down about that. But it's, like I said, it was a good opportunity for him to get out there and get his first cap.
Okay, if there are no other questions, we'll leave it there.
Yeah, well done, Beanie.
Okay, thank you.
Question. James.
Steve, a busy final 20 minutes. How are your emotions? How do you sum it all up?
I think that I'll sum up by saying I'm incredibly proud of the character that the players showed, and to go down to 12 men and be resilient and fight their way through that situation, I thought is immense credit to them and the way they handled it. And I showed it's a group of players that just don't stop; they just keep going, and that's something they've worked hard to instill in this group, which is not something you potentially have said in the past. And ultimately, we don't want to be in that situation. You don't want to have players. We want 15 players on the pitch, but they dealt with the situation and came through it well.
Does the positive of the result and the character outweigh the negatives of Owen Farrell's red card and maybe Paul Fleet's?
Yeah, well, ultimately, both those situations, we don't know exact scenarios as yet. One will be potential disciplinary hearing, and one will get scanned and assessed. So we'll see. Now, I think if you look at the game, I said beforehand, games against Wales are often arm wrestles. The nature, Warren coaches a team that's just hard to beat. And they're often arm wrestles, and so that's very similar to the way Argentina play. Games against Argentina, now I know they were beaten well by New Zealand, but the rest of their games are always very, very tight. So that's a perfect dress rehearsal for the game in 4 weeks' time as we work towards it.
In terms of Owen, what do you think will happen now? Are you planning to be without him for the Argentina game?
What will happen now is I'm sure it'll be assessed and go through the disciplinary procedure. Now, I'll wait and see exactly what comes of that. I said we were intent on announcing our 33, which is, I think, a real positive step at the start of this week. But I also said there'll be a need to adapt over the coming weeks and coming months. And if anything changes, we'll adapt. We always will.
What did you make of the tackle? Owen Farrell's tackle technique has been questioned in the past, hasn't it?
Yeah, well, I think right now it would be wrong for me to comment upon an individual incident that's going to likely go through a disciplinary procedure. As I know you wouldn't expect me to comment upon it if it's going through a disciplinary procedure. Just to be clear, I'll say is that we're fully supportive of working on players tackling low. I will say that without any comment about the individual incident.
If Owen isn't available, do you feel you've got enough strength and depth to cope?
Well, I think the key word there is if. And what we'll do is we'll wait and see and deal with the facts, as I know you'd expect me to, is deal with the facts of the situation. And we'll work out the facts, we'll find the facts out very soon, and we'll deal with it then. We always know, and I think I said to you previously when I discussed the makeup of the 33, I said having three players deep in key positions was very, very important in those specialist positions. So we've always worked on the depth in positions.
On the flip side of that coin, though, how encouraged were you by George Ford's performance when he came on?
Well, George is a world-class player, as is Marcus, and that shows the depth we have here. I'm sure many countries would want that kind of depth. Now, in terms of our game and working with the squad of players, and I think what you saw today was development in our set pieces, so development in our defence, development in our kicking game. It was a step forward from last week. And again, an attack point of view, we need to ensure we're creating lots of chances. We need to ensure we take them, and clearly having quality players working together for a longer period will ensure we take those chances.
I know you're waiting on the medical staff in terms of Jack Van Forfey, but how is he in the dressing room? What's the kind of vibe?
JVP's a positive character, and let's wait and see what happens. We'll get the scan, find out the situation, and then from there we'll make a plan.
It's the ankle, yeah?
The ankle, yes.
And Courtney, what's the feeling in the dressing room after that? Positives outweigh the negatives? How are the guys feeling?
Yeah, I think there's not many teams win that game, so obviously we can take a lot of positives from it. At the same time, it's probably not good enough going down to 12 men, and if we keep putting ourselves in them kind of situations, we're not likely to do as well as we are today. So a lot to learn, but it's great to show that kind of strength of character so early, and it gives us confidence to kind of push on and get things right. Make sure next time we're out there we get one step better.
Steve, 4 yellow cards, 1 upgraded to red. How do you explain your team's discipline today, and how easy, hard is that to improve and work on?
Well, I think one of the simple generalisations would be just to say the cards. Now, if you look at each one of them, each one was unique to the other one. Every one of them was absolutely separate. And I'll look at each of them independently, and I think that's an important aspect to do. Now, I think if you look, and I'm sure you do have all the facts and all the numbers in terms of the discipline of the England team that's improved over the last period of time, including last week where there was 6 penalties, and today was, I think the last count I saw was 12, which is exactly the same as Wales, and last week they were 8. And even despite those cards, there was the same penalty count today. So do I think that I think the England team has actually improved the discipline considerably? Am I disappointed with the cards today? Yes. The cards were not. We want 15 players, and let me make this absolutely categoric so that this is clear for everybody. We want 15 players on the pitch. I coach 15 players on the pitch. That's what the message I sent. We know cards are part of the game now, and we practice those scenarios on the pitch, and we did it this week. Practice scenarios on the pitch. Now I must say we didn't go down to 12 men in the scenario, so maybe we could.
Yeah, we'll try next week.
Okay. I don't want to have to do that one, so we don't want to be in this situation again.
Steve, has Owen said anything to the group or to you about what he did?
The focus in the changing rooms just now is exactly what Courtney just described, and the special occasion of Ellis Genge's 50th cap. And we're fortunate that his family were allowed into the changing room. We were able to bring his family in, and his family were able to see the special occasion where the president presented him with the silver cap memento of his 50th cap, which is I'm very proud of him. I'm sure his family are very proud of him.
And if you have to consider a scenario where Owen does have a ban going into the tournament, does that affect your plans in any way in terms of, I mean, I don't know whether is he going to definitely still go with a long ban, or what sort of thing?
And I understand the question, and it'll be probably on everybody's mind. What let's deal with as a disciplinary procedure. I tend to deal with facts, so we'll wait and find the facts out, which I'm sure we'll find out in the next 2 to 3 days, and we have clarity on it, and then we'll make a plan for it.
What Gavin was saying, if you wait to see the review of the Freddie Stewart yellow card, is that one that you're concerned about? That will be reviewed and upgraded. Warren was saying that this is quite high. Yeah.
From my point of view, I don't comment upon situations that like that, and I'll leave it. From my point of view, I think that I've said my piece around. We want to have 15 players on the pitch, and we certainly do want that. I think I will say here is that I thought the players. I've talked about their character, and I've talked about their resilience. We're going through a pretty tough training phase right now, and the players train very hard, and Courtney doesn't have the figures I have, but when I look at the way they trained this week, it was one of our highest training weeks, and to go out onto the pitch this weekend and go down to 12 men and to still come through at the end, I think it shows the character of these people, but also that the way I'm also confident that as we reduce the training load, the sharpness is going to come in this team, and it will improve as a team over the next few weeks.
Nick, Courtney, how pleased are you to be back? Obviously you've had so many sort of different things. It must have felt like one after the other, and to get out there and put a full game together.
Yeah, last season was tough. Obviously made it back for the last couple of games of the season, but yeah, it's great to be back out there, get a good pre-season under my belt, feeling good. Probably didn't play as well as I wanted to, but plenty to improve on, and I'll keep pushing.
And you said not good enough.
but obviously you did come through. And when any team kind of, gets over the line in a game like that, that can be massive for momentum, can't it?
Yeah, certainly. Sometimes you just got to find a way to win, so certainly did that today. We'll do our very best to take it forward and again keep on improving.
And Steve, in the first half, it was maybe in some ways similar to last week, that you sort of had a lot of starts but couldn't necessarily get into sort of multi-phase. Is there anything specific on that you'd be looking at to sort of tidy up, or does that again come into the fact that you still can do?
Well, I think that the attacks the area will take longest to develop. We know that, and it's where we'll be focusing our attention. And as the training load will, in the next week or two, start decreasing the training load, and that'll make sure these players will start sharpening up. And I think that will also help our attack, and we understand that because we know where we're aiming for. And I think right now, we're on track for 4 weeks' time.
Can I just ask about George Ford, the way he kind of marshalled things around it at the end there? Obviously, it felt like everybody kind of clicked into realising it was then or never to get the result, but he must have been impressed with how he handled the situation.
From observing there, and you'll see the same thing I saw the players working together. Corney here, I thought was magnificent. You see, we talked about Ben Earl, Elliot Daly, Jamie George. It was significant there, and I think that shows the strength of this group of men that did what they could to get us over the line.
Thanks very much, everyone.
Go on.
Yeah, go, Chris. Sorry.
Let's ask about Jamie George playing 80. I know why you'd keep him on in a tight test match, but you've got some inexperienced hookers who can really use the game time. What's thinking behind? Were you tempted to bring Theo on at some point?
Yep, Theo. There was a stage there where Theo was going to come on, and at that point, we achieved another scrum penalty, and then we got them all, and I thought at that point in time the right thing to do was to keep Jamie in place in that situation. What we do, as I said to you, the training we're doing at the minute is also developing our players. This training load these players went through this week was, in terms of a test week, the main training session we had on Tuesday. We've never had a test week with the training load that high on the Tuesday, and we know that is because where we're building to is in 4 weeks' time. So I'm very confident that our preparation is going to get the players ready for where we need to be in 4 weeks.
Thanks very much, everybody.
Thank you.